It's almost time, folks. Tesla's Autonomy event, as I record this, roughly 24 hours away. By the time most of you watch this, less than 24 hours may have already taken place. And Tesla's official X account today posting this question. How would you use the time you spend driving if you didn't have to? Great question. Who or what would you do if you don't have to pay attention and actually drive the vehicle? Worth pondering. I just wanted to play a quick clip from the court jester of the finance media, Jim Cramer, sharing his recent thoughts on Tesla's Autonomy event in his usual hot take fashion.
We have one of the most exciting meetings ever, and that's going to be Elon Musk's We Robot event, okay? This is for strategy for autonomous driving. I think this meeting will show off Tesla's technological edge and will be incredibly well received. And you won't think of it as a car company after this meeting. You'll think of it as a tech company. And that's why I think you should buy the stock ahead, okay? Ahead of this meeting.
I'll tell you what, he's pretty brazen with his financial advice, straight up telling people buy the stock. This is, of course, the same guy who, at Tesla's IPO, said, don't buy the stock, you don't ever want to rent it. And now, all aboard the hype train. CNBS, of all folks, have put together a short piece. Will Tesla Robotaxi live up to 10 years of hype? Jim Cramer seems to think so. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing. So let's watch this.
In 2015, Elon Musk made a bold promise that Tesla vehicles will drive themselves in 2 years. While the concept of self-driving has investors and enthusiasts excited, Musk and Tesla have a history of missed promises.
Next year will probably be 90% capable of autopilot.
I'm Elon Musk.
So I just have to be a bit of a Poindexter here. CNBS just said that Tesla and Musk have a history of missed promises. I'm going to say that word again, missed promises, because words matter. And then they immediately follow it with a direct clip of audio of Elon Musk saying, probably, making a prediction using the word probably. Now, I shouldn't have to point this out, but predicting something will probably occur is not a promise. A promise would be, I promise, or I guarantee, or this will absolutely, certainly occur. This is one of the favorite attack vectors of many Tesla haters, Elon haters, who really are just reflecting their own self-hatred outward onto someone or something else because it helps them cope. Elon Musk is a liar. Making a prediction that turns out to be inaccurate. Neither a promise nor a lie. And of course, it is important to understand when you're doing something that no one has ever done before, a new technological frontier, it's impossible to know until it actually happens. It's also worth mentioning, by the way, that most of the so-called AI experts, until the absolutely out of nowhere, who saw that coming moment with ChatGPT and LLMs, thought artificial general intelligence was many, many decades away. Then out of nowhere, LLMs suddenly go from embarrassingly bad to stunningly useful, and suddenly all the experts are now expecting AGI before the end of the decade. We've also seen a huge hockey stick moment in terms of capabilities on AI generating images. No one saw that coming. No one predicted ahead of time this is the exact moment the capability is going to surge. To look like somebody vomited on a canvas, being better than 90-95% of the world's artists and able to create close to masterpieces in a matter of seconds. But here we are. So you have to understand, all the predictions from Tesla around autonomy were based on all of the available information and a guess, and that's all they are. This is very different, for example, from predicting the timeline on the building of a new factory. For example, if Tesla's already built a factory in China, hypothetically, and they have, and they were to build a new factory, let's say also in China, they would have a reference point of how quickly they were able to do it previously and be able to fairly accurately estimate how long it would take to erect a new factory, because they've done it before. It's been done before, and even if they hadn't, they could look to other examples and say, well, others have done it this fast, we're even faster, so here's our estimate. But this is an entirely new frontier of technology. So we have to be intellectually honest and reasonable here. Obviously, Tesla and Musk have been overly optimistic, but you can't frame that as either dishonest or a broken promise when you're hearing words like probably or confident or likely or best guess, which is what we've been hearing.
Musk out with a bold promise yesterday. He said there would be 1 million Tesla Robotaxis, I should say, on the road next year.
I'm very confident.
Interesting. Once again, we heard from Andrew. A promise. He claimed that Musk promised there'd be 1 million robotaxis on road. Did he say? Did Musk actually promise? Or was he guessing?
About full self-driving functionality being complete by the end of this year, because I'm literally driving it.
I don't know the boy who cried FSD, but I think we'll be better than human by the end of this year.
Now, Tesla has announced plans to reveal a new vehicle which will operate as a dedicated robotaxi, originally in August, and now in October.
You get one chance to make a first impression. They need to make sure they hit it out of the park.
As the rescheduled event approaches, there are still many mysteries about Tesla's plan for robotaxis. But during Tesla's 2024 Q2 earnings call, Musk reiterated his confidence in realizing its full self-driving efforts.
Based on the current trend, it seems as though we should get miles between interventions to be high enough that it should be far enough in excess of humans that you could do unsupervised possibly by the end of this year. I would be shocked if we cannot do it next year.
Consumer Reports has said Tesla's full self.
All right, stop the press. A few years ago, I exposed Conjob Distorts, a previously, once, a long time ago, reputable outlet, now completely and utterly corrupt and anti-Tesla. I'm sure most people watching have seen that, so I won't rehash it in great detail. But these fucks have it in for Tesla. Lying, misleading, and deceiving the public. These are the same dipshits, just for the record, who literally made a step-by-step tutorial on how to illegally and dangerously trick Tesla's driver monitoring software into allowing them to do dumb shit while driving the vehicle. Now, why on earth would Consumer Reports publish a fucking tutorial on how to do something extremely dangerous to cheat a driver monitoring system? Why would they publish a tutorial on how to do that? No, really, why would they do that? Oh, of course, the actual answer is because they're funded from the legacy automotive industry. A bunch of people working there that are previously legacy automotive, bit of a revolving door situation. They have it in for Tesla because Tesla doesn't spend any money advertising in the automotive media, and in addition, is going to put most of the legacy automotive companies out of business, and they have it in for Tesla. The reason they posted that article was to frame Tesla somehow to distort and make it appear as if Tesla's dangerous somehow. Yet, who's dangerous here? The fuckwits who literally went to extreme lengths to make a step-by-step tutorial on how to cheat the driver monitoring system through a convoluted and complicated process to do dangerous things on public roads. Why would they do this? Conjob Distorts is worse than a wart on a turd.
From Musk in recent months emphasizes its AI ambitions, with its robotaxi and autonomy as critical to its future.
The value of Tesla overwhelmingly is autonomy. I recommend anyone who doesn't believe that Tesla will solve vehicle autonomy should not hold Tesla stock. They should sell their Tesla stock.
Tesla's upcoming robotaxi.
Now, what other leader of a company would say something like that? Very few. And he's got a point.
Event has generated investor interest. In the meantime, competitors have made progress.
Tesla's fallen behind. They were seen as the...
Oh, look who it is. Everybody's favorite anti-Tesla CNBS Fudster, who's made an entire career out of publishing bearish commentary on Tesla, lies about Tesla, giving short sellers a platform to perform the distort part of their short and distort plan regarding Tesla. Not surprised to see Laura appearing in this. What I would be surprised to see is her saying anything at all, even slightly positive about Tesla, except if it's the token counter argument after she unloads a bunch of FUD. Let's see if she makes any more appearances later in this video.
Pioneer, and now there are other companies that have commercial robotaxis.
In one bullish estimate, Raymond James predicts $50 billion in robotaxi bookings by 2030.
Try FSD. It is the best consumer product, I think, since the iPhone.
Wall Street gets really excited about the idea of Tesla nailing it with both FSD and with the idea of a dedicated robotaxi.
Musk has big plans for what Tesla's robotaxi offerings would look like.
It's like Airbnb and Uber to some degree. So like there'll be some cars that Tesla owns itself, it's kind of like an Uber fashion. But then for the fleet that is owned by our customers, it will be like an Airbnb thing.
At a global scale, the total potential for...
Oh shit, stop the press. This is just too good to be true. I recognize this name. This is the guy from Guidehouse Insights who charge a few $1,000s for their upside down autonomy leaderboard report last I checked. You guys remember let's dig it up. We've got to do this. Okay, so just checking as I record. If you want to have a look at their leaderboard, their autonomy leaderboard, currently called the Guidehouse Insights leaderboard on automated driving systems, you too can grab a copy of this for a mere $3,950 Bro, I think I'm massively undercharging for access to my Patreon, my valuation model, my health and energy tracker, and the hundreds of exclusive videos over on Patreon. If these guys are charging nearly $4,000 for this upside down opinion. Wow. Oh my God. Who buys this? Oh wait, I know who buys this. It's the dimwits on Wall Street who keep claiming that Tesla's last, or now it makes sense. So I just wanted to show you guys a snapshot of a prior version of this leaderboard. I don't know what year it's from. It's probably 2020 or 21. At some point, They appear to have stopped sharing this publicly. Maybe it was because of the relentless roasting from literally everybody who's got a brain who's watching this space going, it's upside down, you fucking morons. I don't know. But this showed Tesla as the follower, all right? So you've got leaders in autonomy, contenders, challengers, and followers. Tesla following. Tesla last in both execution and strategy, according to these very bright people. Crews who currently, I believe, are still not operating vehicles. Rest in peace. A number of companies that no longer exist who've shut down their autonomy efforts here, all ahead of Tesla. And look, I don't want to kick a DMF when they're down. Yes, I do. What a DMF. But here's a 2019 version. I think the one we just saw was more recent than that. Check this out. Okay. Tesla roughly dead last, although depending on how you look at it, as far off as both Apple and Voyage Auto. Who? Okay, so let's name all of the companies that led Tesla. By the way, for those who don't know, Navigant Research became Guidehouse Insights. There was an acquisition or a rebranding, just to be clear. Maybe because I was so embarrassed about this, they had to... I don't know for sure. Okay, so let's see here. Ahead of Tesla, back in 2019, according to these very smart people. Let's see here. Zoox, May Mobility, Uber, what? Navia, Volvo, Hyundai, BMW, Mitsubishi, Daimler, Toyota, Intel, Volkswagen, Ford. Yeah, okay. I think I made my point. Back to Sam, the principal anal cyst at Guidehouse Insights. Now, look, I don't want to be too much of a hater, okay? It's just that back in 2019, 2020, 2021, when these clowns were publishing their supposed autonomy leaderboard, it didn't make sense. What Tesla vehicles were already able to do was light years ahead of many of the companies they were listing well ahead of Tesla, e.g. all of the legacy automotive companies. It didn't make sense. It's okay to have a prediction that's wrong. It's okay to charge for your prediction that's wrong. But it was obviously wrong at the time and it didn't make sense. It was not credible. But I'm sure Sam has now changed his tune and obviously has finally realized the error of his previous ways.
The total potential for ride-hailing is probably well over $1 trillion. But actually being able to deliver on that is the big challenge. And also doing it profitably. This is something that so far nobody has figured out.
I mean, everything you said there is true. Well over $1 trillion, and doing it profitably, certainly a challenge. And currently, yeah, the companies that are operating their tiny little fleets, geofenced areas, pre-mapping in HD, like Waymo, they're losing staggering amounts of money. Might have something to do with the extreme overhead, the necessity of pre-mapping in HD, and the $100,000+ vehicles required to operate in those tiny little pockets of a few cities.
Tesla's ambitions to create autonomous vehicles started with advanced driver assistance features it began introducing in its vehicles in 2015. The first iteration, Autopilot, which was sold as an add-on and comes standard today, combined adaptive cruise control and auto steer, a lane centering function. Enhanced Autopilot became a paid upgrade to regular Autopilot, adding Navigate on Autopilot, auto lane change, and a slate of other features, such as Smart Summon. And then there's full self-driving, taking all of these features and incorporated traffic and stop sign control, which allowed Teslas to identify stop signs and traffic lights and automatically stop as needed. In a recent update, the brand name was updated to full self-driving supervised.
For about a decade now, Elon Musk has been promising that the company was going to turn existing EVs made by Tesla into autonomous vehicles with a software update. Instead, they're vehicles with advanced driver assistance systems. It's not the same thing as a so-called Robotaxi.
Recently, the company has expanded its scope for autonomy to also include a new vehicle that will operate as a dedicated Robotaxi.
Elon Musk recently referred to it as a cybercab, so there's some excitement and expectation that it might have the aesthetic of the Cybertruck, but the company hasn't even taken the wraps off.
To gauge whether Tesla is ready for robotaxis, one must first look at its software capabilities.
Tesla says that they're what's known as a level 2 vehicle. And that's a technical term that's used in regulation and legislation. Level 2 vehicle means that the driver is there to supervise what's going on with the self-driving features. A level 2 vehicle is never ever supposed to be a robotaxi.
Most companies that have developed autonomous vehicles, meaning level 3 plus hands-free systems, use a wider array of sensors in their vehicles.
Unlike competitors, Elon Musk has been adamant about using a vision-based approach to self-driving that
Which obviously proves that Elon is wrong, Tesla will fail, they're doomed, and all the companies relying on completely unnecessary, extremely expensive additional sensors that can cause mixed signals, confusion, and by the way, humans don't need to drive, are totally going to be successful. After all, Tesla has a history of doing things that everyone else thinks are impossible or wrong and then being wrong. So it's definitely not a counter indicator if Tesla's doing a certain thing and Musk is literally yelling from the rooftops that everyone not doing the certain thing is going to fail. But I do want to stop trolling for a moment. This is actually quite important. Tesla's the only company at scale, actually the only company at scale, period, trying autonomy, but the only company attempting to scale autonomous vehicles with a pure vision-based system. Either the entire industry is wrong and Tesla's right, or the entire industry is right and Tesla's wrong.
relies mostly on cameras.
When they started, they had 8 cameras plus radar and ultrasonic sensors. And they've gradually eliminated the radar and the ultrasonic sensors, and now...
This is true, and at the time I mentioned, years ago, you can fact check me, the most bullish signal you will see from companies working on autonomy is the deletion of sensors. It's a strong signal, no pun intended, that the software's capability and safety profile has increased such that they no longer need excess sensors. As I've said in the past, humans do a pretty decent job, not perfect, of driving with just 2 cameras. Obviously, if you want autonomous vehicles, you'd probably prefer to have 360-degree vision, right? So you need cameras to surround the vehicle, but that's it. And long term, I actually believe that Tesla will eventually begin deleting some of the visual cameras as well. Because if they can use a slight fisheye type of lens and have software that removes distortion, 8 cameras is probably excessive. Not now, but over time. My prediction on the record, I can't wait to clip this when it happens. Future Tesla autonomous vehicles eventually will have less than 8 visual cameras and no other sensors necessary for driving. And when you see a company bragging about having 27,000 different cameras and lidars, just remember folks, complexity appeals to stupid people. The more sensors a company's bragging about having on their vehicle, specifically to help with driver assist or eventually autonomy, all other things being equal, the further behind they are, and the more shame they should carry when repeating the number of sensors they have.
They just have the cameras. It's never going to be a sufficiently reliable solution, especially with the relatively low-resolution cameras that they use, which makes it even worse.
I think the vision-based approach to autonomy over the long haul has enormous potential.
Well, Brian, I agree.
At the current time, however, though, it's pretty clear that highly automated vehicle technologies are going to need more than vision-based sensing alone.
Well, Brian, I disagree. I knew this was coming. I could tell. He's like a researcher at a university. I mean, obvious things are obvious. Now, look, his point is fair. I mean, as this goes to air and as I'm recording this, there are no companies at scale using a pure vision-based system doing any autonomous rides. But there is a company using a vision-only system that may not have sought and received regulatory approval to do autonomous rides, but has vehicles on roads that customers are literally posting videos of intervention-free drives that are lasting 10, 20, 50 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, not intervening at all. You can't square this claim that you'll need a fuck ton of these ridiculous and redundant and unnecessary sensors to achieve autonomy in the near term when you can watch videos, dozens, hundreds of them, of intervention-free drives on vehicles running a vision-only system today. You just can't make that argument.
While the company has managed to deploy functioning driver assist features this way, it has shortcomings.
Cameras are really good for doing object classification, but because you don't know where the light source is, if it sees a billboard on the side of a bus with a picture of a person, it'll often identify that as a pedestrian because it doesn't have that depth perception.
So, Super Smart Sam, I think that was his name, wasn't it, from Guidehouse Insights, does raise an interesting point. The less intelligent the software, the more likely it is to see a person on a billboard on the back of a bus and think it's a person. But now he's going a little bit too far and suggesting that vision-only cameras don't have depth perception. In mid-2023, Ashok Ellaswamy from Tesla, leading the AI project on autonomy, she had a detailed presentation, and by the way, it wasn't the first time Tesla discussed this, regarding occupancy networks. Now, what we're looking at here, I'm just going to press play in the background. So watch on screen now. You see this shit? What are we looking at here? We are looking at depth perception of objects in the real world being generated via artificial intelligence using a vision-based system. There's no LiDAR here, yet how in the fuck does the vehicle know where things are? What objects are in the way? This occupancy network is doing the very thing that Sam is suggesting is not possible unless, of course, you bounce lasers off shit using LiDAR for depth perception. Once again, you're a human, right? I know that almost everyone watching this, at least as I've published it, maybe there'll be AIs watching in the future. If so, I for one welcome our new AI overlords. Everyone watching this can do this same trick. I mean, how often do you walk into walls and objects? Probably not very often. How are you doing that without having a LiDAR bouncing lasers off shit? Oh wait, because you've got a vision system that works just fine. Again, on screen now. This is happening with vision only. Depth perception with vision only. Anyway, back to super smart Sam to tell us more about how cameras can't do depth perception.
Whereas if you had a LiDAR on there, the LiDAR would show that is actually a flat surface. So there's not actually a human being. So that's where having the combination of sensors is very valuable.
In 2020, Tesla released a beta version of full self-driving, allowing customers who purchased the add-on to test the feature through its development.
FSD is supposed to be basically a robotaxi, except that the person behind the steering wheel is expected to act as a safety driver because it's a robotaxi in training. It's immature technology.
I mean, kind of a fair point, and you've got to give credit to Tesla. Some 200 IQ shit here. Just check it out. Ready? Sell a product to customers, make money on the product, sell them software on the product, which is almost pure profit, make thousands of dollars on the software, and then have the paying customer train and supervise the software for you via fleet learning, which means the software universally improves. Every intervention sent back to home base. They can do comparisons between what the software would have done versus the human intervention. Oh, great, that's a data point. Let's improve the software. I can't underscore enough what a big brain achievement this was, to have paying customers train this software at scale. The alternative, Tesla's so-called competition when it comes to autonomy, is literally paying an engineer or a safety driver a six-figure salary in a six-figure vehicle to do the same thing at a piddly scale.
CNBC recently took a ride with a few Tesla owners using FSD version 12.3.6.
Oh, now this will be good.
While the drivers acknowledged it doesn't turn their cars into robotaxis, they have seen it improve with recent software updates. But it still struggles with certain things.
This is where I'm going to be prepared to take over, because I don't think it can make this turn. This is pretty sharp even for me. And it decided not to take that turn. And actually, when I do take over, it gives me the opportunity to leave a voice comment. So I can tell why I'm taking over. And then I think they use that as feedback.
Nitesh Mehta has had Tesla's full self-driving for 2 years, but when he first started using it, the shortcomings were apparent.
Honestly, it became a chore, because it was...
This, of course, was universal feedback early on. Of course, everyone knew that, right? It's beta software. You're literally helping Tesla. You're paying for a product. You're asking for early access to an unfinished product, and you're agreeing to help Tesla. Of course, it's going to be a chore. Be interesting to hear the difference between then and now, but obviously everyone initially signing up at the time knew what they were doing. They're literally beta testing software.
It required quite a lot of your attention. It was just harsh and bumpy, and it would speed up, it would slow down, it would make unusual sounds. But
again, this is all absolutely accurate. The software, while impressive at the time, certainly, as I described it, was like a drunk toddler.
But that changed, and that changed with the version 12.
Dude is definitely well informed and speaking the truth. V12, by the way, was the version trained end-to-end on video, where Tesla deleted 300,000 plus lines of code. I flipped out at the time, explaining the implications, why this was a huge watershed moment. They'd blown it open now, it was just a matter of time, no more unknown unknowns. The path to full autonomy clearly lit now, just a matter of time, and here we are.
So we are here in Mountain View.
Bibrahit Halder, another Tesla fan who works in the autonomous driving industry developing tech for mining, has been using Tesla's driver assist features since 2016.
I've been doing autonomy since autonomy got started back in 2003. So I have been in the kitchen for over 20 years. I'm excited about what's coming, but I'm also very, very cautious about, I know the limitations. Back in 2016, I used to let it drive in the highway, and highway it manages pretty well, but obviously that time I had to really monitor very closely. And then over the time, highway become much more comfortable. I think what the progression I'm seeing that in the city level, now this is getting better, but city I still take over. There's a lot of area that it doesn't do well in city.
Musk hyped the next FSD version as having a 5 to 10x improvement in miles per intervention. But the company also started calling this option FSD supervised, an acknowledgement that the driver must stay in control of their car's steering and braking at all times. According to the most recent data from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Tesla has reported 1,399 collisions in which driver assistance systems were engaged within 30 seconds of the crash, with 31 of these resulting in alleged fatality.
All right, hold up a second. There's so much to discuss here. First of all, if the driver assistance software was engaged within 30 seconds of the crash, what, as opposed to during the crash. Second of all, these numbers are absolutely meaningless without context. How many Tesla vehicles in the fleet? How many crashes occur in other vehicles per mile? Like, these are just meaningless numbers. Of course, they look bad, but there's no context here at all. Tesla's got 7 million vehicles on roads as I record this. By the way, I just got to give credit so far. The clips with what appear to be Tesla fans are actually really reasonable. I was expecting a bunch of FUD and interventions. Not yet. They might be coming. In fact, this might be the segue into those now. But just remember, if you're in a Tesla vehicle and you crash, it's your fault, whether or not the driver assistance system is engaged. After all, Tesla explicitly tells everybody that they need to be paying attention. They're responsible.
NHTSA began gathering data from automakers on collisions involving advanced driver assistance systems in June 2021. Tesla reported a higher number of collisions where ADAS was engaged compared to other automakers in the US. One factor is that Tesla started offering these systems as a standard option in all their cars before.
Wait a fucking second. I was sipping coffee then. I wasn't paying super close attention, but did they just claim that Tesla was showing a much higher rate of collisions and accidents with their driver assistance software engaged? Because I'm looking on screen now and we're seeing absolute numbers here, not relative numbers. And then CNBC just goes on to explain, well, Tesla has a lot of vehicles using this stuff. But the way that they just framed this was not per mile or per vehicle using the software, but just total number. This is an exceptionally dishonest way of presenting the data. You have to normalize this for the number. Like, if there's 19 Ford vehicles, let's just, extreme example, right? Let's just say that there's 19 Ford vehicles in total in the United States that have any form of driver assist, and all 19 of them got in an accident. And let's say there was 3 million Tesla vehicles using this software and 1,399 of them were involved in a collision. Well, the software was active. The way that this is being presented by CNBC, this is exactly how you'd see that data, which in that case, and it's not an actual real-world example, but just imagine, it would mean literally 100% of the Ford vehicles using this software were involved in accidents and like 0.00001% of the Tesla vehicles. But you wouldn't know this looking at these absolute numbers. Of course, the fact that Tesla doesn't spend money advertising on CNBC and Honda, Subaru, General Motors, Toyota and Ford spend combined hundreds of millions of dollars probably just on CNBC and billions advertising in the media has absolutely nothing to do with why they would frame something like this.
Competitors.
The company's made progress on advanced driver assistance systems, but they really haven't come out with anything that's safe to use, hands-free, and that could operate as like a level 4 style robotaxis. Some Tesla owners have actually sued the company because they want money back. After paying for FSD, what they expected would upgrade their cars to like a true robotaxi experience, and they never got it in the lifetime of the vehicle.
With AI and automation at the forefront of Tesla's priorities, the company reportedly canceled plans for its affordable mass-market vehicle in favor of a dedicated driverless car built off of these same.
Fact check. False. I don't know where this came from. The fake news, that's where it came from. This is not true. A new, lower-cost Tesla vehicle will enter production in the future. It's going to be built on the same platform as a dedicated robotaxi they're unveiling tomorrow. I know what happened here, by the way. Sufferers of small brain syndrome heard that Tesla was implementing some of the learnings from that next-gen vehicle in an interim range of vehicles to drive costs down a little bit, get production capacity to around 3 million a year, and then assumed, due to their small brain syndrome, that must only mean that the next-gen vehicle, the much more affordable one, is cancelled. Just remember, folks, you can't fix stupid. Put a pin in it. Tesla will be building a much more affordable next-generation vehicle and selling it to consumers, and it will be built on the same platform as a dedicated robotaxi, which will be manufactured with Tesla's unboxed manufacturing system, the modular manufacturing system. You can count on it.
Same platform. But little is known about Tesla's latest vehicle and whether it can operate a fully functioning robotaxi based off of its FSD software.
I've been following Tesla for 16 years now, since they unveiled the original Roadster, and Elon Musk has never set a deadline he couldn't miss. I was not at all surprised that they missed this one. They had to probably go back to the drawing board on something.
I wanted to make some important changes that I think would improve the Robotaxi, the main thing that we're going to show, and we're also going to show off a couple of other things.
I think the prototype's going to be pretty eye-popping. I think there could be some announcements around partnerships, specifically new executives, that maybe lead this unit. That would be, I think, front and center for Wall Street. They need to actually now deliver, can't delay it anymore. And a year from now, in 2025, you actually need to see these things rolled out.
As October 10th approaches, details have emerged that Tesla plans to host the Robotaxi event at the Warner Brothers studio backlot in Burbank, California. But despite whatever is showcased that day, the company issued a disclaimer in its 2024 Q2 earnings statement that its Robotaxi deployment depends on technological advancement and regulatory approval.
No shit, Sherlock. Please, tell us more, Captain Obvious.
You just literally open the Tesla app and summon a car, and we send a car to pick you up and take you somewhere. And we'll have a fleet that's, on the order of 7 million that are capable of autonomy soon. In the years to come, it'll be over 10 million, then over 20 million. It's basically instant scale with a software update.
When you think about ride sharing, the likes of Uber and Lyft, this is Tesla's answer. It creates almost a whole nother mini company in terms of where this could all lead to.
Elon Musk has talked about Tesla owners being able to generate income one day by adding their vehicles to its autonomous network. At its Autonomy Investor Day in 2019, Musk predicted one could generate $30,000 in gross income if their car operated as a robotaxi.
He says the revenue that Tesla owners will get from making their vehicles part of the robotaxi fleet will far exceed the monthly payment for a Tesla.
But even if existing Tesla...
So let's go out on a limb here. Just imagine if this is true. Actually think about it. The value proposition to a potential customer purchasing a Tesla vehicle, if the vehicle itself can more than pay for its cost, it's the no-brainer of no-brainers. And by the way, directly in line with Tesla's mission statement, right? They want to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. The best way to do that with vehicles is to disrupt miles in gasoline vehicles with electric. And the best way to do that is via autonomous vehicles with a much higher utilization rate. And the best way to do that is to subsidize the cost for customers to buy them and produce as many yourselves as well. Now, if the vehicle can bring in, let's just say $30,000 in year one in gross revenue, you've got some expenses there, but a few years after purchase, it's more than paid for itself. But if you're financing the vehicle with monthly repayments, it's going to be paying for itself, more than covering the monthly repayments from day one. Now, just imagine what happens if there's lenders out there that are looking at the numbers on this thing. Even if you couldn't previously qualify for a loan because you have a low income or you're not even employed, if this thing itself can massively cover the expenses of the repayments and then some, it's going to be a no-brainer for customers and for financial institutions, lenders, to actually lend for these things. I don't think the world's ready.
Tesla owners receive the capability to operate their cars as robotaxis through an over-the-air software update. The vehicles are missing several other features necessary for driverless ride-hailing service.
If you're going to operate an automated ride-hailing service like what Waymo does, you need a vehicle that has been expressly configured for that use case.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing where this is going. Just like how before you put a home on Airbnb, you need a home that's specifically configured for Airbnb. Just like how every driver in the Uber network wasn't actually able to add their personally owned vehicle and start driving it around. Instead, it needed to be configured first for the Uber network. What? Can't wait to hear this.
So you need sensors and cameras on the inside of the cabin to monitor, okay, has a passenger gotten sick? Have they left something behind? Did they smoke in the car?
Should we tell him about the internal cabin camera?
Tesla does have one camera mounted up by the mirror that is a fisheye camera, but it doesn't give you that much detail. With a human-driven cab or ride-hailing vehicle, somebody gets out of the car and they don't close the door properly. The driver can always hop out and close the door. If you don't have a driver in the vehicle, you need to be able to do all of that stuff automatically. And obviously, Tesla vehicles don't have that capability.
The amount of back-end capital involved in supporting robotaxis that exist today is immense. It is far more than developing the software to enable a robotaxi to operate. It is the entire ecosystem of what happens when things go wrong, how do vehicles deal with complex situations where the 5G network is no longer attainable for some reason. Lots of unknowns that have to be factored in here that Waymo has been struggling with for years.
Waymo recently received an additional $5 billion in funding to support its operations and expansion, adding to $4.75 billion in funding the Robotaxi unit raised since 2020.
You've got the expense of the...
Yeah, solving this problem ain't cheap. Cumulatively, we're looking at $10+ billion of sunk costs so far for Waymo. Meanwhile, like I said earlier, Tesla literally selling products to customers, making a fat profit on them and having the customers volunteer to train the software. I wonder how many miles Waymo vehicles will need to start driving once they eventually reach profitability. By the way, they probably never will, they'll go bankrupt. But anyway, in order to recoup that $10+ billion of sunk cost.
Those vehicles, which is not going to be inexpensive if you're going to do it right. You have to maintain those vehicles, you have to clean them, you have to charge them. So there's a lot of other operational expenses that you suddenly add in.
There are also major regulatory hurdles. NBC News reported in April that Tesla hadn't contacted regulators in the states of Arizona, California, and Nevada to apply for the licenses and permits needed to test autonomous vehicles without a safety driver or to run a commercial robotaxi service. It took Waymo 8 months to get its initial permit from the California Public Utilities Commission.
With version 12.5 and maybe a 12.6, but pretty soon we will ask regulatory approval of the Tesla supervised FSD in Europe, China, and other countries. I think we're likely to receive that before the end of the year.
There's a very fragmented array of, permits, licenses, and regulatory standards you have to meet. It is a significant challenge, and we haven't seen a lot of evidence that Tesla is knocking down all those hurdles.
Tesla did not respond to CNBC's request for comment. In the race for robo-taxis, some competitors have backed away from their driverless ambition. Ford, Uber, and Apple abandoned plans to develop.
But wait a minute. Didn't we look at the autonomy leaderboard earlier, and Ford, Apple, in fact, literally all three companies just named were ahead of Tesla on the autonomy leaderboard? And now we're hearing that all three of these companies that were listed as ahead of Tesla in both execution and strategy have abandoned plans. Why would a company that's ahead of Tesla and was ahead of Tesla years ago in autonomy have abandoned plans? After all, it's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. Why would you just give up if you're ahead of Tesla? It's weird. I'm sure they'll be asking Sam for comment.
Their own autonomous vehicles, and General Motors' Cruise has run into setbacks. It recently said its purpose-built
Hold up a fucking minute. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, because if I was, I'd say that because GM spends so much money advertising on CNBS would never actually say the real truth of what happened with GM's Cruise. But the actual truth of what happened with GM's Cruise, a setback, was a massive cover-up of a safety incident in which a different vehicle hit a pedestrian. The pedestrian essentially flew into the path of the Cruise vehicle, and then the Cruise vehicle, sensing the shit was hitting the fan, instead of freezing in place, initiated a pullover maneuver and drove for dozens, if not 100+ feet, with a fucking half-dead person under the vehicle. And then Cruise lied to investigators and regulators about what happened. They edited video and didn't provide the full clip of the full incident. Engaged in a massive and unconscionable cover-up of the truth. Got found out and then had their service suspended globally. Now, I'm obviously not a conspiracy theorist, so the reason that CNBS wouldn't explain in more detail what happened has nothing to do with the fact that GM, who own Cruise, butters the bread at CNBS. So actually, I don't even know why I mentioned that. Yeah, let's move on. Tell us more about these setbacks, please.
Robotaxi, the Cruise origin, is indefinitely delayed, with CEO Mary Barra citing regulatory uncertainty around the vehicle's lack of manual controls. But there are some companies pushing ahead. Amazon-owned Zoox is operating its driverless shuttles, giving employees rides and gearing up for commercial robotaxi services. In China, players including Pony.ai, Didi, and Baidu are launching driverless operations as well. Alphabet's Waymo, formerly the Google self-driving car project, has been undergoing testing since 2009 and launched an early rider program in the Metro Phoenix area in 2017. It began offering fully driverless rides to the public in October 2020. Since then, it has doubled its operating area in Phoenix in 2023, launched service in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and has started initial rider-only testing in Austin with plans to launch later this year. As of August, Waymo surpassed 100,000 paid rides per week.
Among the companies operating in the U.S., they're far and away way ahead of everybody else in terms of getting this commercialized.
I think Waymo's had very successful strategy. Customers have loved it.
Waymo tests and launches service in limited geographies, slowly expanding operations as regions are mapped and the vehicle's capabilities improve. Musk has criticized this approach.
Our solution is a generalized solution, unlike what everybody else has. If you see it like Waymo and whatnot, they have a very localized solution. It's quite fragile. Their ability to expand rapidly is limited. Our solution is a general solution that works anywhere. It would even work on a different Earth.
Waymo hasn't been without issues, however. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration opened an investigation into Waymo Robotaxi's driving behavior and potentially disobeying traffic safety laws. To support its early driverless operations, Waymo relies on remote operators to assist when encountering scenarios that confuse its robotaxis.
People say, well, these things won't drive drunk and they won't drive distracted because they're not texting. But it turns out they have software defects. So the jury is still out on whether robotaxis will be safer than human drivers.
In a recent No Priors interview, Andrej Karpathy, Tesla's former head of AI, says he believes Tesla is ahead of Waymo in its self-driving approach.
But what would he know? It's not like he's an AI expert specifically on autonomous vehicles, so his opinion obviously doesn't count, especially now that he's left the company and therefore is completely free to say what he actually thinks.
Waymo looks like it's winning kind of right now, but I think when we look in 10 years and who's actually at scale and where most of the revenue is coming from, I still think they're ahead in that sense.
I don't think that Tesla is going to become a formative competitor to Waymo. I think there is a safety equation here that Waymo understands to a much greater degree. You can't beta test on public roads forever. You need to put a safety bar in place that is above and beyond what the average driver would accept.
Even though Waymo is, by far the most advanced right now, it's still only 3 cities in the United States. There's still lots of time for others to come in, and grow the market. By no means has Waymo won.
But until more details are revealed, analysts can only speculate about when Tesla's robo-taxis will actually be on the roads.
Our expectation by mid-2025, you'll have rides out there. Now, it depends on the city in terms of the regulatory and how Tesla navigates that, but this is not years away now. I mean, we're talking months. And it speaks to my view, this is an autonomous AI story. They're actually going to be the ones that lead. What I really almost view is like an FSD autonomous revolution.
Dan Ives is talking the talk, but last I checked, his price target does not seem to be walking the walk. If he really does believe Tesla's going to lead in terms of autonomy, and by mid next year, less than 12 months away, I'm recording this in October, so 9 months give or take, Tesla's already beginning to launch this service. I'm finding it hard to square that with this current price target on Tesla, which of course, it's not an estimate of what Tesla stock will be worth, but the value of the company. And surely the value of the company, if they successfully launch this service, going after a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity, and they're going to lead. Last I heard, Dan Ives had a price target of $300 on Tesla stock, up about 25% from where it is as I record this. Finding it hard to square the comments with the price target.
There will be a lot of hype, and then, we won't see it again for probably at least another 3 years after that, maybe longer. I would not expect to see, a functioning Tesla Robotaxi on the road for at least several more years, regardless of what it looks like or what hardware it has on it.
I don't expect the Robotaxi day come and all of a sudden every Tesla become Robotaxi. Not gonna happen. These are very marketing events. It's meant for creating excitement and the buzz. I'll also sign up for the Robotaxi thing if they, I can use my car as a Robotaxi. Just for the heck of it, right? I am always like the ahead of early adopter of early adopter. So I'll try it just for the experience of it.
So an interesting segment here from CNBS. I was shocked. But where were the interventions on I really expected that it was just going to be an absolute FUD fest with the Tesla owners showing off FSD. But there was none of that. Although they didn't really actually show off FSD. They just spoke to the owners. Bit of a mislead there. But anyway, of course, we had to have a university professor explaining how LiDAR is necessary. An industry expert, the expert of experts on autonomy, the guy from Guidehouse Insights. Most interestingly, though, is that the narrative really is starting to change. Whether or not people are skeptical about FSD and robotaxis, full autonomy, 12 months away, a few years away, when even the skeptics are thinking it's just a few years until Tesla robotaxis are deployed. There's massive change taking place. Anyway, it's only a matter of hours until Tesla's autonomy event, We Robot 1010. I, for one, can't fucking wait. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. There's plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.